Imagine, if you will, a world gripped by an unseen terror. A shadow so vast and absolute that it swallowed nearly half of an entire continent's population. This, my friends, was the Europe of the mid-14th century, a world brought to its knees by the Black Death. And in the crucible of such unimaginable fear and devastation, humanity, as it so often does, searched for an explanation, for someone to blame. And tragically, they found one. For centuries, the Jewish communities of Europe had existed in a precarious balance, often protected by official church doctrine, yet frequently targeted by fervent Christian animosity. The church, in its wisdom, recognized the Jewish roots of Jesus himself, a fact that, on paper at least, afforded some measure of protection. But when the plague descended with its relentless, indiscriminate brutality, reason thought often dissolved into primal fear and desperate superstition. Think of it, nearly half the population gone. Entire villages decimated. Families wiped out. The sheer scale of the horror was beyond comprehension for people who understood little, if anything, of germ theory or epidemiology. How else could such a catastrophe be explained, but through divine wrath, or worse, through the malevolent hand of a human agent? And so, a monstrous accusation began to whisper, then to shout, across the terrified landscape. The Jews were poisoning the wells. This horrifying notion, this insidious lie, found fertile ground in an age ripe with existing anti-Semitism. Why the Jews? Well, for one, they were often a distinct and sometimes isolated community, preserving their own customs and practices, including dietary laws and often separate water sources within their ghettos. When the plague seemed to strike their communities with less ferocity in some areas, or simply when desperate minds sought a convenient scapegoat, this difference was twisted into a damning indictment. The logic, if you can call it that, was brutally simple. If they weren't dying as quickly, they must be causing it. And the pressure to confess, for those accused, was immense. Imagine the terror of being seized, dragged before zealous, fear-crazed mobs, or even civic authorities, and subjected to the persuasion of torture. Confessions, coerced under unimaginable duress, were then paraded as proof, further fanning the flames of paranoia and hatred. It was a vicious, self-perpetuating cycle of fear, accusation,